Here we are. Like combination like peanut butter and jelly, like Embiid and Drummond. This show. We are like just things that go together.
Agreed.
Look, the good news is Spotify has ratings now. We'll get into that later. It's the important shit.
When everything else is going wrong.
Yep.
We got
talk
Spotify
about
and ratings.
Talk about ratings. I look tired. The only thing I don't like doing about video is when I'm worn out. I can see it. I liked it better when it was a secret, to me at least. Not a secret.
Liam can't take it and beating Drummond.
Well, start in a second here.
Oh, it's basketball talk, yeah. Sorry, Liam. No basketball talk in the pre-show filter.
That's a fair request. Hang on one second. Let me get everything ready here. It's weird to see. Well, anyway, all right. Let's do the show. Everybody ready? Here we go. The Rice and Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook. Download their top-rated app by using promo code RTRS. Brought to you by Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of The Process. Body Bio supplements for a healthier life. Use code RTRS20 for 20% off at bodybio.com. And Stateside Vodka, the home of the Surfside vodka, iced tea and vodka right here, and sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter, which comes out Thursday, statesidevodka.com. On the show today, the winning streak ends at 7 as the Sixers fall to the Hornets. We are really into trade season as we are 1 month away. They were flying today, just reports full of nothing. It was awesome. And now Tobias Harris mentioned in trade talks. Hopefully they didn't watch tonight's game. A small update on the color star situation, as I have an update that has not yet been reported. Charlie Brown becomes an official Sixer, and the Ricky Bagel will debut soon. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is here.
Say the name. I say the name. I say the name.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rice and Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who once again survived Black Monday and has not been fired as an NFL coach yet in his entire career. That is Mike Levin.
Annoying game. Bad game. Yeah. I'm frustrated. They won 7 in a row, so it's bound to happen. Charlotte is a good team. They're probably the team, other than the Sixers, that I've watched the most this year. I like them very much. I love LaMelo. I think he rules. I love how they push the ball after makes.
Yeah.
I love how they're athletic and they move fast, and it's the opposite of the Sixers. But just an example of all of the Sixers' weaknesses on full display against a good team. The Sixers got 3 offensive rebounds. The Hornets got 7, even though the Hornets shot way better from the field. The Hornets turned the Sixers over.
The Hornets only got 7 offensive rebounds. I feel like they got 7 on one specific play.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. That does seem low. At least per ESPN. They have 9 steals. Sixers got 3. They were lackluster. They were slow. They were so slow. It was an embarrassing performance. Embiid played very well and not out of his mind, so he can't just drag these lifeless carcasses to a win over a good team. Man, Tobias, I'm losing it. I mean, I'm gonna get to Seth because I'm like Seth is my little pet project that I can't stop thinking about. But
just
like
letting Mike cook right now.
you have to.
Yeah.
Tobias just especially like he ended up hitting some shots towards the end of the game and the 17 points on 14 shots, 8 rebounds, 5 assists doesn't look bad, but he played bad. Missing layups again.
It was one of his worst games of the year. It was fucking terrible. He was
missing
terrible.
layups again. Anytime anyone passes the ball in a late clock situation, they should be fined. He can barely get by Mason Plumlee, who's like pressuring him half court. He's like, you can't fucking dribble past me. And he's right. He lets guys get rebounds in front of him. He doesn't contest hard. He's so slow at anticipating what's about to happen. He's just so slow at seeing it. It's every single time. Even if like where's the ball going to carry him off the rim? Every time it's like him like waddling over to consider like maybe I'll make a run at this ball as some just like regular athletic guy, not even like other world. It's not talking about like Derek Jones here jumping out of the building, just like Cody Martin, who just like tries and has some quick twitch ability. Tobias has none of that. There's the one play. Oh my God. The one play that really like crystallized it for me. There was a bunch in this game, but Tobias drives, has a wide open Seth, 10 feet next to him. And he's so fucking slow at recognizing it that it takes him a long time to do it. He finally does it. Hayward tips it out, gets a fast break, and then both Seth and Tobias fruitlessly chase after him because they're, significantly slower than Gordon Hayward. It's a really, really bad game for Tobias. A really, really frustrating thing. I thought Doc had a bad game as well. He tries to go to the Drummond and Embiid lineup, but if you go to the Drummond and Embiid lineup, you can't fucking also have Tobias in there. You can't have Tobias in there. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, how do we not think about this? Like, how is that not something that we all just go like, well, obviously, if we can try Drummond and Embiid, it's a funky thing. The Sixers don't look good. They're not getting loose balls. Maybe we get bigger than them. Hornets were in foul trouble. Maybe we can foul some guys out just inside on stuff, get to the line. I get that. But you have Tobias in there? You have Tobias in there with Drummond and Embiid to have just multiple guys that are standing there. Why not have Matisse in there? Why not have friggin' Brian Skinner in there? Just have slow releasing guys that have no ability to like just make quick decisions and spread the floor. Really, really frustrating. I'll talk about Seth, but you go to say something that I said.
All right, I'm gonna give you a little break here. I'm gonna take the other side, not just to be devil's advocate, but one of the first things you said was bound to happen. This game was bound to happen. They're not good enough to win like 10 straight games or something, or like this was just bound to happen. It was I know the Hornets only scored 100 points or whatever. I don't know what they finally scored, 102, 104, whatever it was.
109.
It was an embarrassing defensive effort. Like I just thought it was a lot worse than the final score was. It seemed like the Hornets had an open shot every shot. If LaMelo didn't, admittedly, I don't watch him all that much, and maybe he makes some of those. It would drive me crazy with as good as he is moving with the ball, shooting those like Steph Curry shots that he seemed to miss every time, 5 feet beyond the line. If he didn't do that, and if there weren't just a bunch of, it seemed like wide open missed shots, it could have been worse. Like it felt like a game of the Hornets at 130. All that said, like
I agree. And LaMelo does normally hit those shots. He was 0 for 8 from 3. It's not regular for him.
I agree with everything that you're saying, except this one didn't bother me. The Tobias
it only bothered me because it was all of their weaknesses that this is what they do. Like if Embiid missed shots, it would have been like, well, he's going to have cold nights, but that wasn't what happened. He played still really, really well, and they lost because of all of the problems that they have.
Yeah, and Tobias Harris, it's getting to the point where beating up on him actually does make me feel bad. And I have never been talking about, like, you've been the one talking about like him being a culture guy or all that kind of stuff. Never that. Seems like a reasonably like good guy. I actually feel a little bad beating. He didn't give himself the contract. He is annoying to watch because it's not only the things that he does slow because he's slow, he does like normal stuff slow, almost like a step late. Like lazy is the wrong word, but like even just giving the ball back to Embiid on the perimeter, he throws the pass a step late and a step
Always.
slow.
Always
It's
incredibly
just
slow.
it's just
Every pass is slow. Every
Yeah.
decision is slow. The
Yeah.
processing speed, Sixers Adam tweeted, is just incredibly slow. And there's occasionally a game where he decides to get downhill and doesn't think. But he is, anytime he uses that nice brain of his, like it slows him down so much, and it's just painful, and it clogs everything up. And Doc should be fired for just putting him and Drummond and Embiid on the court at the same time. Just a ridiculous thing. And there's leaks obviously about, oh, Tobias is actually playing hurt, and actually he's playing pretty hurt. A couple things. You've heard tendonitis. What about double tendonitis? He's got them all
in his arm, both in his
in
arm.
his arm, both arms, legs are falling off. And it's like, if he's actually hurt, don't play. Please don't play. Sit
Right.
for an extended period of time. I would love for you to sit for an extended period of time. Don't play. If you're hurt, don't play. If this is what it looks like when you're hurt, you don't get credit for like going out there. This isn't the MJ flu game, bro. Like, don't play. Sit down, collect your money, rehab. Think about what you do here. Think about your role here and
Think about
get
this.
healthy. Because if it's a real excuse, which whatever, everybody's hurt. It's professional sports. Everybody's hurt at this point in the year. Tendonitis, whatever the fuck. Then I don't want you playing. If you're really hurt, I don't want you playing. You shouldn't be playing.
Look, Tobias, this is a message from me to you. There's another guy on this team. There's nothing wrong with him at all. He hasn't played one game just because he doesn't feel like it. You can take a couple of games off, especially if your arm hurts. You could take a couple of games off. All right. Do you want to do Seth?
Yeah, let's go to Seth. Like, man, when he's not getting squished like a bug on every possession, sure, he can hit some shots. He can hit some. He got a nice touch in there. But every other possession, he just gets sort of stomped on like a little guy. He can't do anything. He's getting roasted by Terry Rozier. Opposing players shoot 1,000,000,000% over his little finger contest that he just kind of waves in their face. He's never contested a shot hard. He can't do it. They laugh at him. He's so slow. So many of his passes get stolen. They just swallow him up. He's like he might be 5'3". Like he might be shrinking before my very eyes. It is so frustrating watching that guy play. It's so frustrating watching that, because he's an incredible shooter. Obviously, we know incredible shooter, does so many things well, carries the offense a lot of the time because there's so few other guys that can do that. But when he plays against a team with athletes that are engaged, he can't get anywhere. He simply can't get anywhere at all. And the Hornets are not a good defensive team. Notoriously, they're not a good defensive team. And he just can't do jack shit. He's slow making decisions, slow deciding to shoot. Can't get around a screen at all. Dies every single time. Like dies on multiple times per possession. He's dying on screens. He catches up, he dies. Embiid gets over there. Seth comes back, he dies again. Like, it's unbelievable. I don't know how he can keep respawning with how often he just keeps dying out there. It's really bleak. It is bleak watching this many slow players out there on this one team. And we can talk about Charlie Brown Jr. in a second, but like the times that Charlie Brown Jr. has been in the game over the last couple of weeks has just been a revelation simply because he has NBA athleticism. And there's, as far as wing players go, one other player that has NBA athleticism on this team. And Charlie Brown is like a godsend because he can like jump up for a rebound and like make a cut and like finish.
Somehow their slowness makes each other look slower. You know, like Yang, who I already have made a case for that he's too slow to play in the playoffs.
They all are. The whole team shouldn't play in the playoffs. And if he's too slow to play in the playoffs, they shouldn't even be allowed entry. There should be like a guard at the gate, not allowing them in.
All right, let me take a quick respite here. A product from Body Bio that we just started talking about that you don't know about yet. I talked about Elite, talked about the vitamin C, Butyrate, Butyrate. This is from Body Bio, our sponsor Body Bio. We love Body Bio, family-owned, family-operated supplement company, legit great place. Butyrate, Butyrate. Your body makes it naturally, but your body doesn't make enough of it. If you're going to take one gut supplement, it's Butyrate. You're taking your probiotics, all that kind of shit. Take Butyrate. completely safe. You pop a couple after each meal. Here's how you're going to feel different. This like bloat that you have, that maybe you notice it, you might not even notice how often you have it, is going to go away. You're even going to notice like your stomach is not going to be as protruded because all that's going to go away. That bloat is going to be gone. You're going to be more regular. And if you have healthy gut health and brain health, those are the two things that are so important. And butyrate, which is a postbiotic, you've never even heard of that before. Because nobody's being straight with you. Butyrate, which is a postbiotic, is going to be the gut supplement that really makes a difference for you. Just try it. If you just try it and don't feel a difference, send me an email, but I guarantee you feel a difference. Butyrate, butyrate. Go to bodybio.com, use promo code RTRS20. You get 20% off anything. So you get butyrate, you get Eli, anything on the store. RTRS20, bodybio.com. Get the, if you're going to pick one of them, you don't know which one, get the butyrate, the sodium butyrate. That's the one to get. I'm telling you, this is an important part of your health. Totally safe, totally natural. Your body makes it. Butyrate. Bodybio.com, RTRS20. It was nice to see Maxey back on the floor. He had sort of an uneven game, I thought, but it's been a little while. It's nice to see him, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm trying.
I mean, he had 2 straight pull-up threes in the first quarter, to end the first quarter. That was awesome. And then, like, I don't recall him really touching the ball the rest of the game. It seemed like Doc was like, "You're going a little too fast, son. You should slow down. Please honor the speed limit on this team, which is school zone in a fucking snowstorm." He just like, it was just him deferring a lot and him just like slowly trying to get the ball to Tobias from like 25 feet out. Tobias is like sealing a guy from 25 feet out and is like, "Give me the ball." And we're like slowly getting it there. And then it's him slowly trying to get it to Embiid. It's very frustrating. I just honestly, games like that, when they look so slow, I would just rather them put Maxey, only shooters that stand there, and Embiid, and just like let Maxey do everything. And when Embiid's not in there, then Drummond, and Drummond can just keep setting screens and just let Maxey do everything, because the team, against a good team that is trying, that has athleticism, they don't have enough guys that can get by anyone. And I thought the Hornets were double teaming Embiid impressively. That was it. Like, I thought it was a pretty rough Embiid distributing game. He obviously had a ton of impressive shots. Anytime he has like a sidestep 3, end of clock, when they go in, it feels like he's a superhero. Embiid, he's just, the stuff he does is incredible. And there were some like weak offensive foul calls on him, but that's because of how Charlotte was double teaming him. And that was like part of James Borrego's game plan. But he turned the ball over a lot. He wasn't passing guys open or getting the ball out quick. And this just felt like a game where he felt like, wait, I've been dominating lately. I can keep doing this. And then he like stopped using his teammates much. There were guys that were open. He didn't really find them. It was rough. And so, I mean, he got his 8 games in a row with 30 points is incredible. That's just like par for the course at this point. But I would like games when they get stuck in the mud, when they are having success double teaming Embiid, would love to get him some easy buckets, would love to get Maxey on the move. And it seemed like Doc once again just defers to his vets too much. Tobias, Seth, just like way too much. And if Drummond's in there, against small ball Hornets lineups, if we're playing a traditional center that does not stretch the floor, that is better at defending the perimeter than we gave him credit for before the season, but still not his strength. If he's going to be in there, punish a mismatch down low. Get the ball and dunk on somebody. And he had one really nice play, Drummond did, but he has such bad touch around the rim.
He sucks.
Over 4 from the foul line is just brutal. It's just that just stabs you in the gut when you make like, hey, our backup made a really nice play, and then he went over 4 from the line. That's just really, it's a tough combination. I think I get why Doc went big, but the Hornets went small as they went big.
Why didn't Isaiah Joe get into the game until the second half?
I have no idea. And when he was in there, they didn't like really let him shoot. But like Isaiah Joe should have been in there in the 2 big lineup. It's like, at least fine. He's going to have he'll stretch the floor and shoot from 28 feet out. But Sixers going double big when the Hornets go small while they're down like 10. It's like you're down 2 scores in the fourth quarter in football, and you're trying to establish the run. Like, let's establish it. It's time to grind this game. and like let the clock run out. And it was just really everything. This was the slowest game they played in a long time. Danny was slow as hell. He attacked a closeout and then had a wide open dunk, but went up soft and then got demolished at the rim and landed on his hip and died. And it's just like there's too many fucking slow moving human beings on this team. And the Hornets are just like way faster, way more athletic. That is what's going to happen in the playoffs. Like if this team as constructed goes into the playoffs, unless Embiid scores 40 a night, which he might, I have a hard time seeing them like breaking 75.
Maybe it'll be one of those things like a fucking knuckleball that'll just be so slow.
I think I think a knuckleball from time to time helps. But if everyone's throwing knuckleballs out there, then eventually they're going to adjust. Eventually they're going to, it starts to look the same speed. It has little effect. If everyone's just throwing changeups all the time, that becomes your fastball. Your fastball is just 78 miles an hour.
Sixers are Charlie Huff out there. 60-year-old knuckleball throw.
It's really bad. It was a very frustrating game, and Embiid has been playing so well lately, and we can pivot to the Ben stuff.
Yeah. Let's get at it.
But we don't deserve this. Embiid doesn't deserve this, and something has to change.
It will.
Please.
The before we get to the Apple Podcast 5-star review, which we're at 3,039, is brought to you by Stateside Urban Craft Vodka. Get yourself these Stateside Surfside iced tea and vodkas now available at statesidevodka.com. They're fucking awesome.
They're delightful.
Yes. Really, good.
I've had so many of them.
As good as the vodka sodas are, the iced tea and vodka is so good. It's not carbonated. It is just sweet enough, and only 100 calories, where their competitors are like 200. And I think I saw them. They're going to be at Total Wine in Delaware now. So it used to just be on the website, but statesidevodka.com. Before I get to the Apple Podcast one, there are Spotify ratings now. No reviews, but ratings. We're at, I think, 162. So when we get to 1,000 5-star ratings on Spotify, Mike's going to get a tattoo of CJ having a tattoo of the Mike Scott B. So
absolutely not a chance in hell. I do not. The reviews do nothing for me. I change my behavior in zero way because of the reviews.
The Apple Podcast 5-star review. This is from Paul's B-Baller. It says, happy 4,000. Just finished watching every second of the 3,000 review special while watching the Sixers lose 98-96 to the Hawks and playing 2K franchise mode. As you'll be reading this in June 2024, it is crazy for me to think that I'll be about to start my sophomore year of college then. I hope you'll be enjoying covering the Vince Carter coach Sixers and loving every minute played by 10th man Chance Westry. While I'm confident the Sixers will be searching for a title by the time you read this, I hope the Hornets winning this year's 2024 finals doesn't discourage you too much. Good luck on the rest of your journey. Who is Chance Westry? I figured you would know who that was.
No idea.
Oh, I thought it was a college player or something, or a high school player. Before we get to the trade stuff, a quick update on the Color Star situation. Lucas Capetian has made a new LinkedIn profile with a properly written bio. And what
he's not Lacus anymore?
What's that?
He's not Lacus Capetian anymore?
No, it is completely fixed, and I am linked with him. I did send him a message.
Well, the U and the A on the keyboard is so close together.
Very close.
They're right. They're basically next to each other. They're basically one letter at this point.
The other thing I have for you is I can tell you at this point, it is my understanding that the Sixers have paused their partnership with Color Star Technology.
It's good to press pause.
As they investigate more as to what is going on. So there will not be you will not be seeing any activation of their partnership with Color Star, as their partnership is currently paused with Color Star Technology.
Very important to use that pause button. Very important to investigate. Very important to really take stock of things.
Yeah.
Tobias Harris running the investigation here, surveying the court, really having to take it all in.
Looking forward to the results of the investigation.
Yeah, I bet.
I don't know if you saw today, Dan McQuaid from Defector posted that their website is updated, but Dan had noticed that what they did was they copied their website directly from Live Nation. They used the same, like literally copied it and forgot to change some of the things. So there are things on their website that talk about Live Nation.
Great. Professional organization.
All right. So trade deadline is February 10th, and there is a flurry of news. It started with the Sixer earlier this week, couple days. I don't even know who reported what rumor. I'm sorry. I'll just give credit to everybody.
Sam Amick.
Sam Amick, Mark Stein, Woj, everybody's reporting everything. That the Sixers were trying to include Tobias Harris in a deal, and they had
which I don't believe. Not that I don't believe they're not trying to trade him, but the idea that the Sixers are sorry. I don't believe that the Sixers are like leaking that. I don't believe that Daryl's like, hey, we want people to know that we're trying to trade 70+ million in salary in one trade. I just think that is other teams trying to make the Sixers look bad and make them look ridiculous. There's just so few deals out there that would be able to accomplish
both
money-wise, Ben
Right.
and Tobias. It's just it's hard to fathom what would happen.
Well, whatever it is, I'm sure they would love to include him. That is I'm sure they would have no trouble including him in the right deal. So that comes out first, and then there's just more of the John Collins stuff. John Collins not thrilled with how they're using him, whatever the fuck that means. They're using him perfectly, and then also sort of looped into that is the idea of using potential space created to acquire James Harden this offseason.
Yeah, Kyle Neubeck had a good rundown of all this where it's like you don't do like a speculative trade-off of assets during a season with the idea that like we hope in the offseason we can get this guy.
Unless they know.
But you can do that in the offseason then.
Right. Well, maybe.
You can do that trade in the offseason, probably way significantly easier than during a season.
Maybe.
Because you're not getting Harden during this season.
Well, unless the contracts are expiring, then you can't do it in the offseason.
Yeah, but it's easy to get. It's easier to get out of money than if you need it. If Harden is right now saying like I'm coming next year.
Yeah.
Which I'm hesitant to believe that there's any level of certainty about that. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm not saying that
there's a lot of smoke. Can I tell you?
But I really don't think during a season Daryl is getting word from Harden like, hey, I'm coming, create room for me like ahead of time. And Daryl will be like, cool, yeah, we can do that.
Well, the worst case scenario is you don't have Tobias Harris anymore or his contract.
For sure. But I'm not obviously not defending the idea of like trading Tobias for literally anything. If you trade, in this case,
nothing, basically. If we're saying that this is expiring to create room, then they'd be literally trading him for nothing. You know?
Sure, but we still have half a season to play, and so there'd be something to be here and expect. And there's cap ramifications of that. Like, could they even afford to give Harden as much money as they need to under the cap? It takes. I just don't think that is. I don't think it's legitimate. I think yes, is on a board is Daryl like trying to think about Harden for this offseason and going from there? Absolutely. But I don't think there's something that happening during this season to go to like hurt Embiid's chances at whatever, acquiring somebody else to help him right now, just at the potential possibility of Harden coming.
Of course.
In free agency.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Time out. If they could snap their fingers right now.
I just don't think that I understand that. If they could snap their fingers for sure, but it's the idea of like, hey, let's tank this season and give away picks to get out of Tobias, probably.
But that's not all I'm saying is if they could snap their fingers and have Tobias Harris disappear, that's it. They get nothing back and have him disappear. He disappeared. They would say yes. It would absolutely say
I don't
yes.
know. I don't know that they would. I would. I don't know that they would. I don't know the ramifications of sending someone in a portal to space would have on the rest of the league and other teams looking at that being like, man, they did him dirty, and like that would make players want to come here less. I don't know the answer to that. I would do it, but I don't think that I don't know for sure that they would. And I think that you're going to have to attach, if it's just Tobias, I think you're going to have to attach stuff to get off of him. And
Well,
so if you
unless-
attach stuff to get off of him, then you have less assets to move in a Simmons plus whatever for a better player deal. And I think that's just a speculative thing. I think you can get off of Tobias in the summer. Like, I think if Harden wants to come here, you can do it then. I don't think it's a thing you would preempt during a season when Embiid is playing this well.
Okay. But Tobias Harris isn't good. Like he's not helping them win. Like, I don't understand what I guess I'm confused as to what you're objecting to here.
I'm objecting to the idea that you would have to put other things onto Tobias to get rid of him. And if you trade him for like walking courses, that with the idea of like, hey, maybe we get Harden, that to me is the kind of thing that as Kyle noted in his piece, something that the Kings and Knicks would have done in the past of like just clearing contract because we're going to get somebody and then like nobody comes.
Except,
and if you can make him disappear, then that's fine. But I think what I'm saying is if you're trading assets with Tobias to make him disappear, then that leaves your cupboard pretty bare to move Ben and whatever for the star that you actually want if Harden doesn't come.
Okay. We'll get to the Woj report about Rich Paul, who was in town today for a specific reason in 1 second. Before that, I want to talk about our sponsor, Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. I always love reading emails about Kornblau. This came from Dave. Been meaning to give Kornblau a plug. He helped me out with a case involving a major cell phone company whose employee hacked my phone and compromised my bank accounts. He got back to me within minutes of my email, walked me through the legal grounds I had. I wound up recouping all of the money, which at first seemed impossible. So everything that you guys say about Adam is true. He took time out of his busy schedule to help me and even checked up on the case a few weeks later. So Kornblau and Kornblau is the official law firm of the process, typically personal injury, but we'll do anything that you really need. If you need any sort of lawyer, Kornblau is your guy. Not the personal injury law firms you see advertising on billboards or radio commercials. They're mostly, I'm not talking bad about them, but they're mostly just referral services. Kornblau is actually, you're going to get a Kornblau. Some of the biggest medical malpractice suits in the area. Law firm's been around for 4 decades, started by his parents, runs it with his mom now, has a true passion for it as somebody that you can trust. If you've been hurt in any way, at work, slip and fall, car accident, what else? You could be hurt in any sort of way, and you think somebody else might be at fault. You call Kornblau. It doesn't cost you anything, zero. Or you email them. You don't like calling anybody. 215-576-7200. Ask for Adam, or email Kornblau at kornblauandkornblau.com. Kornblau, Kornblau. I spelled it for you. That kind of mood. Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. So the final report, Woj writes today that Rich Paul was in town, had a meal with the Sixers, and everybody feels exactly the same way that they felt. Ben is no closer to coming back, though if he were traded, no closer to coming back because of his mental issue, but if he were traded, he would be able to play within 2 weeks of physically ramping up.
Fun meal. There was a conversation for 3 minutes, and then probably they just talked about like TV shows they're watching for the next like hour and a half.
Each texted Woj. And then also in the report, just the report says he's not coming back. They're not going to trade him unless it's for a difference maker player. And also that there are, and was this in Sam Amick's article, that other teams, obviously this is, all public negotiating, but teams are wary of trading for Simmons because they don't know, what they're getting. And the contract itself, which Darryl, I'm sure, is telling everybody it is an advantage. They are publicly saying that it is not an advantage.
Yeah. I mean, you can read into a contract and whatever. If he was expiring, people would be like, we're not going to take him. And he's got a bunch of years left on. It's like, well, maybe we won't take him for that. It's like, you can spin it however you want to spin it. I think your point, look, I think journalists and people have somewhat admirably been delicate about like the mental health issue, because it's very clear that like with whatever stuff's going on with his family and how he melted down in that series, like, and the way he approaches shooting and free throws and all that stuff, like objectively, like from the outside, which you can't make it this case, but from the outside, it looks like there's something going on. Like he probably should work on some things, but it's also very clear in every piece of reporting and how it was like from, the beginning to then like they grabbed the mental health issue and said like, now we're using this. Like he doesn't want to play for the Sixers anymore. He will play for another team.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to play for the Sixers anymore. And whether the Sixers are a harmful workplace for him mentally, like that, I guess you can, that's something that you buy. Like if I didn't want to go to the show that I was on anymore, I'd be like, yeah, I don't want to go to this show anymore. I'd go work on other shows, but I don't want to work on this show anymore.
It's fair to mention he did make it part of why he
yes, they claimed that for like whatever legal contractual collective bargaining agreement type reasons that allow him to pull from that. And that's just like a philosophical issue, is really not wanting to go to one specific workplace, but being willing to go to any other specific workplace and just like suit up in a week and a half. Is that a mental health issue? I mean, like probably, if we're thinking of a broader definition of it, but like he doesn't want to play here anymore. He doesn't want to play anymore. He's not out in some place in wherever, in Philadelphia, California, wherever he is. He's not like working on himself mentally to come back for the Sixers. He's never going to play for the Sixers again. It's very clear that that's not happening. The Sixers keep claiming that they want that, but I can't imagine the Sixers think that he's going to ever play for the Sixers again. And so we're just like sit here being like, yeah, we're stuck in stalemate. Ben doesn't want to play here. His agent is using whatever methods possible to keep trying to get him paid. There's been conflicting reports of whether he is getting paid or he is getting fined or he is recouping that money or he isn't, or he will. Like it's very vague.
Well, he's not getting fined anymore.
But in the Woj report, it said that they are. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not see. One thing I noted, and I asked the paywall about this, because I remember reading an article on Real GM, and I did go back and read it, that he can't recoup this money. But what the story actually is that the only team that can recoup the money for him is the Sixers. So if he gets traded, the new team can't give him the money, but the Sixers can. So theoretically, right before he gets traded, if it's like a condition of the trade, the Sixers can give him all the money back.
Yeah.
They're giving him the money back. I would bet that's why it's been so quiet. Because he knows he's getting the money back.
And that's weird. To me, that's weird. To me, it's weird. Like he can decide, hey, I don't want to go to that workplace anymore. He's well within his rights to do that as a human being. I mean, like, I don't want to go there to trade me. But you can also say, hey, I'm not doing the job. You have to pay me for not doing the job. Like, that's just weird to me. That is a weird thing. I always side with the players. He should be, if he wants to go somewhere else, he should be allowed to go somewhere else. But you can't do both. Like, that's not how the world works. Like, getting paid an exorbitant amount of money to not do your job is weird for me. If they want you to do that, then great. John Wall, stay home. We'll keep paying you. But like, they want you there. You're saying, I'm not coming in. Fine. But there's got to be some like buyout agreement in the middle or something. I don't know. I don't care. He can make money. It's not my money. Take Josh Harris's money. I don't give a fuck. But like, it's just weird. You're not doing your job. You probably shouldn't be getting tens of millions of dollars
to do
nothing. So stalemate, nothing's changed. Dame is having surgery and is out for like 2 months.
Yeah.
Maybe they shut him down for the year. Portland is bad. Washington is slipping. So maybe Beal becomes available. Maybe Harden's the guy. There's just like, we keep going back and forth. Who's the guy? And it's like, I think at this point, what I really want, even if a guy doesn't become available at the deadline that you really think is the guy, I think we're at the place where it's like, we need to make a trade before the deadline. Embiid is too good. You make a trade with the idea that you will trade some pieces that you get and some pieces that are already here for the guy in the summer when there's more time and people are not in the middle of the season. And we just have to do it. Embiid deserves it. There has to be some like middle ground trade. Like, hey, we got, whether it's Halliburton or somebody like that, whatever.
Yeah.
You do it. You go get the guys. I don't think I don't want to like live in a world where the trade deadline passes and
And he's
Ben's
still
still here
here.
and we do the like, well, do you want to play now? Like, we can't trade each other summer. You want to miss the whole season? And we play like a game of chicken about that. Or he decides to show up in March and just says like, fuck you, like I'm here, and just gets kicked out of more practices and stuff. It's just not good.
Can we say if he doesn't get traded at the deadline, we do our deadline pod and we're, miserable and you're in the dark and I'm, halfway through, I do some weird long rant about going to work. But after that, if he doesn't get traded, can we just not talk about him until the season's over at all?
I mean,
can we make that commitment or no?
Because if there's stories
I guess we
about them doing him playing again, or maybe not playing, or he'll just play for the playoffs. Like, what the fuck? I don't know. I really don't know. It's been a tough time.
I can't stand him. I can't stand him. I can't stand him because, he's been such a piece of shit about this that it's not even fun. Like there's no joy in it's just a miserable situation. And he caused so much of it.
I mean, it's just like it's weird because he hasn't been around. He's just been, he hasn't like spoken publicly in 7 months more. And so it's just like we're getting whatever Rich Paul is leaking to people or other people are leaking about it or whatever. And you just hang out. And it's just very bizarre to me because I really have nothing against him as a person, human being. Obviously, we have had some small relationship for a time. But it's like, you really want to waste a year of your prime? Like, you only get to play basketball for like, let's say max, they say non-LeBron division, like 16 years professionally, and you're just gonna like throw one away because you don't like your coach. Who likes their coach?
But I don't think that's where this is where the whole
now it's past. Like, I'm not saying he should have. I'm just saying like overall, like I'm not saying he should be like I should play now. Like that's past. I'm not saying that, but it seemed like overall like it's very bizarre to me that he would do that. Like presumably NBA players like playing basketball and like to get paid to play basketball and like to, be seen playing basketball. And that's how they identify. But over the year that if he doesn't play if they don't trade him at the deadline, he will go a year just sitting around, healthily sitting around.
But I don't think
and he already missed his rookie year, his first year in the league because he sat around because he had an injury.
I don't think this is stubbornness, and I don't think I don't want to.
It's definitely stubbornness. A part of it's stubbornness. His point from Rich, all parties are stubborn at this point.
I disagree. I think he is like, you ever get a message, somebody calls you and leaves a voicemail that you don't want to listen. You get a letter in the mail. It's a bill that you don't want to open, and you let it sit there for so long, even though you know it's something bad, because you don't want to deal with it. Like, what's going on with Ben Simmons here? And I'm not saying there's like this saying that there's a mental issue. Like, there's a sort of blurry line. There's a lot about the human condition that is like tough, that is hard. There are hard things. And there's a difference between and the line is blurry, but there's a difference between suffering from depression and anxiety and like the human condition, which is sometimes hard. Coming back to the Sixers is too hard for him. He does not have it in him. He is terrified. His fear of failure, and I use fear of failure because that's the phrase, for lack of a better word, I'm not saying he's scared or whatever. It prevented him from getting better for years because he was so concerned with showing a part of him that like was failing. Like, that is part of why he did what he did. And while the people who celebrated with him are like, he's just so smart about basketball, he won't take shots that he's going to miss. It's like, well, that's not really how it works, because you miss half your shots even when you're really, really good. So his inability to fail in front of people prevented him from getting better. And it built and built and built and built until it exploded. And now he can't face it. And to him, in his head, Philadelphia, this place is where that exists. And he can't do it here. And what I've kept saying is that what he doesn't understand is that wherever he goes, this is going to follow him. And I don't think he's dealing with that right now. And I think what would be best for him is to just fucking crush it here. Just come here for a month and play and get it over with and let everyone boo the shit out of you. But at away games, but he doesn't have it in him. And I don't think that he's like, Anthony Davis was just like, I ain't playing here anymore. Or James Harden was like, I ain't playing here anymore. Those were superstar vets that were confident enough to say, fuck this place. I'm better than this. I don't think that's what this guy is doing. I think this guy cannot handle this. I just don't think he can handle it. And I don't think he knows what to do. And it comes off as sort of like aloof and smug because that's how he is. Like that's his way. Even when he's not being that way, his just way is aloof. And I think we maybe project that a little bit. I just don't think he has it in him. I don't think he can. I don't think he can do it.
I wonder, I think that like, had you gone to, I don't know about him or his camp or whatever in July and said like, here's the reality. You're not going to play this year if you make this trade demand. You're not going to play the whole year. I wonder if they would have gone like, I think that they thought we can bully the Sixers into trading us.
Mm-hmm.
We can tell them like, I want to trade. He's Ben Simmons. He's been celebrated and good all of his life. Someone's going to want him. He's in his prime or getting into his prime, whatever. Like someone's going to trade for me. They'll trade me. I'm bet obviously, even if they don't get like perfect return, they'll get something for me because something is better than nothing.
Uh-huh.
And I think most teams would have done that. I just think Daryl has been doing this too long and has come up short too many times to where he's just not willing to lose what is probably his best chance to get the proper running mate for Joel Embiid. And so it just snowballed. Like, I don't think that in August he was like, I'm not playing for the whole year. I don't care. I think he's probably like, no, they should trade me. Like, they should trade me. And then it just kept coming. And then he like came to practice. He showed up and then like his heart wasn't in it. And he's like, all right, well, they'll trade me now. Like, I think every step of the way he's thought that they're going to trade him. I don't know. I'm just purely speculating.
Yeah. I don't think he ever thought he was going to have to make this decision.
That's my thinking also. And I still think he probably thinks like, well, they'll probably trade me at the deadline, but I don't know. I have no idea. He hasn't been public. He hasn't talked. Rich Paul hasn't like actually had like a sit down interview or something. I don't know if that'd be possible. Like, it'd be probably weird if they keep him at the deadline or maybe before the deadline, they would say they were like a Malika Andrews interview with Rich Paul or something where they talk about this possibility. That'd be weird. I don't know. This is a situation that people don't know about. It hasn't happened before where a guy with this many years of his contract left, healthy, just doesn't show up. And he can have the power to not show up, but he doesn't have the power to just like force Daryl to trade him. And he's learned that. Yeah. And it's just been a really weird, unpleasant situation where we keep getting updates from the same like 5 reporters that are like gleefully accepting whatever leak they are fed. And it's just like, we're still in this fucking shit. We're still in this shit. And it's just gone wrong for everybody and nobody's happy.
Speaking of it's gone wrong for everybody, nobody's happy. That has not happened with the Eagles this year. I'm going to ask you to pick, Mike. On DraftKings right now, before we get to the mailbag, the Eagles are plus 8.5, plus 290 on the money line, plus 8.5. Looks like there's going to be bad weather in Tampa. Tampa Bay. What do you think?
How bad weather?
What's your pick? It's 70% chance of rain. Looks like rain and wind in the beginning of the game. And then as the game evolves, the rain settles down a little bit. But, that sort of game maybe favors the running game team. Sure.
I don't know. Things are weird in Tampa, and it's hard to win 2 in a row. And Tampa himself is old. Like, I don't care.
Is.
He's fucking old.
He is.
It doesn't matter. At some point, he's going to get... He's been old for a while, but sometimes he's finally going to look old. I don't know. The Eagles aren't that good. They haven't beaten anybody good, but they've taken care of business when they had to. If they run the ball, if they get a lead early and they can keep running, a couple lucky picks here and there, I think it's possible. The vibes are bad in Tampa right now, especially offensively. So I don't know. I'm not. I feel like no matter what my prediction is, it's going to be wrong. So I'm just going to
Yeah.
enjoy myself.
Okay, good. The NFL playoffs are here. DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NFL. Huge offer. Counting down to Super Bowl 56, new customers get 56 to 1 odds on any wild card team to win their game. There you go. So if you're a new customer, you bet $5, you win $280 in free bets if your team wins. So if it's your first game, it's wild card weekend, 56 to 1 odds on any wild card team. If you don't have DraftKings in your state, that's okay. Huge cash prizes in DraftKings Daily Fantasy. So they got betting for the legal markets, which is New York, legal market now, betting for the legal markets, and Daily Fantasy for the non-legal markets. Free shot at millions of bucks in total prizes with your first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code RTRS. Get 56 to 1 odds on any NFL team. Bet just $5 to win $280 in free bets if your team wins. It's promo code RTRS this wildcard weekend at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, or PA only. New customers only. $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. A quick update about the Ricky Bagel from Kismet Bagels in Philly. Jacob and Alexandra, who started their small business, which has exploded in Philly. We will debut the Ricky Bagel, as you have proclaimed, Mike. It will be the Ricky Sanchez Bagel when they're
Unless they don't want it to be.
They do.
Again,
They're in. Jacob's in. They're opening up a brick and mortar in March. They want to have it at the brick and mortar in March. We've taken all the suggestions after you insisted that it is named after us. It's not like the Hollis Thompson Bagel, whatever. It will be.
That didn't come from hubris. That came from defending the integrity of whatever we're calling this thing.
Absolutely. So
I'm a slave to logic.
We had a bunch of good suggestions. I sent them to him. He's working on the perfect recipe. We want the bagel to be awesome, and it will be available at the brick and mortar store in March. So we'll have the recipe in the coming weeks. Also, Mike, I was thinking at the place when they sell the Ricky Sanchez bagel, if you get a sandwich out of it, it could be the rights to Ricky sandwich.
Sure. It could be the rights to Ricky sandwich. Yeah.
There we go.
I think somebody pitched that. I think somebody tweeted that at us. So whoever did that, consider yourself having gotten credit for that.
Arthur says, for the rights to Ricky Sanchez bagel, you don't actually get a bagel. You get a picture of a bagel in Puerto Rico that you can trade in for an actual bagel.
I also like that.
It's funny.
That'd be fine with me.
The hard to stomach YouTube comment of the week. You can watch our shows always on YouTube, live on YouTube. Which comes from Rashid Frazier, who says, funny how Doc is only the coach when the team loses.
I feel like I try to give Doc credit when he makes good decisions. I feel like you prevent me from doing that sometimes. Not prevent me, but you don't. You're constantly anti-Doc, whereas I try to give him credit when he does something that I think he deserves credit for.
I'm anti-pro Doc. I'm actually anti-discuss the coach. I don't think coaches do anything. I'm not anti-Doc. I was anti the thought that Doc was like the championship coach that they needed and going to bring accountability and all that kind of horseshit. I just think he's checked out and wants to leave. Fucking phony. But I don't think he makes them lose or makes them worse.
Sometimes he does. Sometimes he makes bad decisions and insists on things. Like tangibly today, he decides who goes in the game. And he decided wrong a lot in big moments sometimes. So I don't mind trying shit out, but there's just no world where Embiid, Drummond, and Tobias Harris should be on the court together at the same time. And so he deserves blame for that when he makes those bad decisions.
A couple mailbag questions before we get out of here. Writes Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. Send us a basketball and a non-basketball question. I say that so I get a choice because not everybody's question is always good. Mike, this is for you. Comes from Corey. Is it alarming that down almost every ball handler on the roster, the Sixers have not put Jaden Springer in the game?
No, he's been hurt. He's been hurt and had
has
COVID.
He?
Yeah, he had COVID.
He had COVID for the whole season?
No, he was in Delaware, and then when they were down, he was down for like the Christmas into New Year's type of thing.
Seems like we haven't seen him like at all though, and they've been.
He's been there a couple times. He played in mop-up duty one time.
There you go.
A couple blocks.
Corey, eat shit. You're totally wrong. This comes from Rodrigo. I've been arguing about this with a friend for a while now. Would like to know your opinion. In an Olympic-style 100 meters dash race between Tobias, Seth, Danny, and Yang, who comes in first, second, third, and fourth?
Okay, Danny, Seth, Tobias, and George Niang. 50? Is that what you said?
100-meter dash.
100-meter dash. Oh, that's a really close one. I think long version, I think Tobias would pick up steam and probably win.
Yeah, I think so. He's in the best shape. Well, Danny's in really good shape. He just runs really slow.
No, Danny's
I think
not winning that.
Tobias, yeah. I'm just saying Danny's not in bad shape. Like Danny's not
taking
fat.
a nap midway through that race.
Danny's chiseled, but he can't run. Tobias has long legs. Tobias wins it. Tobias is.
I think I'd probably go Tobias, and I'll probably go Niang just because he is the most competitive one out there.
Right. He'll talk shit at the end of the race.
Tobias, Niang, Korkmaz, Seth, Danny.
Korkmaz is not even in it, but Korkmaz comes out of nowhere. No. Tobias, Seth, Danny, Niang.
Well, Korkmaz is just as slow as all those guys.
Korkmaz comes out of nowhere. Everybody's like, you're not even in this race. I think
that if I was in that race, I wouldn't come in last.
Can I tell you something? I don't think Seth would get to the end of it without like walking.
Yeah, it might be like the skills challenge situation where some guys are like not actually going for it. But we have to assume that in a world where they go for it.
I think Seth is fourth and Danny's third.
I think Seth would be faster than Danny.
From John, Spike and CJ, I'm thinking about getting my first tattoo and would like to see if you would recommend somebody in the Philly area based on what I'm looking for. Since I love mountain biking and Sam Hinkie, I envision Sam Hinkie riding a mountain bike in the mountains with TTP hidden somewhere in the art. I would really love if the artist could replicate Sam's face similar to my Twitter profile picture. He has the Sam thing we used for the 1 part's courage, 2 parts patience. CJ, you have a tattoo recommendation? I know you have the same person did all your stuff on your leg, right?
Yeah, now he lives in the mountains of PA. So this is all you.
Did the person do your tattoo? Was it a 75-year-old woman?
No, it was a young, fit man.
Oh,
nobody asked how fit he was, CJ.
Speaking of which, CJ, I don't think this place is going to end up being a full-on Ricky partner. But, however, somebody reached out who owns hold on, I'm going to get the name of the place, who owns a home store / hair salon in Philly, reached out about maybe being a sponsor of the Ricky, but offered to, when your hair grows in, to take care of your hair for you. What do you think?
Sure.
Maybe
I'll look at some photos of their work before, do my due diligence and see what they're working with. But I can consider that for sure.
Where is Lee? It's Lee. I'm looking for his name, and I'm just looking for the name of the place.
I am getting to that point now where like the hair on the side of my head is getting a little longer now, so it's like I got to start thinking about it. But yeah, I think I should do some research into this potential client, and then
here we go. Hold on. Here we go. Hold on. I'll tell you in a second. The place is. It looked really cool. This corner, 16th and Pine. So look it up.
Okay.
It's like has a cute little home store and a salon. So this corner.
Got it.
There's only 2 people in Philly who have done my tattoos. I reckon they would both be able to handle this. Tim Pangburn at Art Machine Productions in Fishtown, and Benji Harris, who is in Jenkintown. What is the name of the place? I just Benji is at. He owns the place, Noble Heart in Jenkintown. Both great. If you want, they could both do what you wanted. Benji did my hands, and then Tim did this Up House. They're both great. This is from Tom. Love the pod. Need Spike to answer a question for me. Where the hell do people sitting courtside go at halftime, and why are they never back to their seats by the start of the third quarter? Many times they don't get back until the close or the end of the quarter. This happens all the time with Ruben, Meek, M. Night, and their friends, not just the Spurs game where Spike and his friends went missing for almost an entire quarter. It's the fucking craziest shit. The people that live that life live a different life than the rest of us. Somebody from the Sixers came and got us. She was like, helped us the whole night. She took us to this fucking lounge where we're the only people in the lounge. It had pizza and pretzels and drinks and our own bar and all that shit. And then you just hang out there and they take you back whenever you want to get back. That's what happens. And it's just too short to hang out in that place, the normal halftime. I would rather go and watch the rest of the game, but that's what they're doing. They're going to some crazy lounge. Final email. This comes from Peasant Ben. Peasant Ben here, short-time listener and Liberty Ballers reader. 2 interrelated Eagles-Sixers questions for the pod. First, now that the returns for the Wentz trade are solidified in such memorable fashion, is it possible that this Sixers season could be considered a vindictive triumph without a championship or a top 30 player if a comparable situation transpires with our guy? Second, so do you think there's a way, like obviously Carson Wentz melted down at the end of the regular season. And
after he had COVID.
After he had COVID. Well, you had COVID.
Yeah, but he's not vaccinated.
We all had COVID. I think he more melted down because he melted down. That would be my guess. That's who he is. Do you think what is the reaction here? Like, what is your reaction when and if? I think we all were like almost joyous when Wentz melted down in that game. Because first of all, it meant a better draft pick for the Eagles. Yes. And second of all, it was like, ha, 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 you have him, we don't. Mm-hmm. What happens watching that happen to Ben somewhere else, do you think? How would you feel watching it?
For the Wentz thing, I think it's also, his decision to not get vaccinated and then get COVID and then play bad and so they lose is part of it with Wentz. Like part of what he was, when he was here, like he didn't accept criticism. He wasn't like getting better. He wouldn't like, there was, his leadership ability in the locker room was questioned frequently, and not getting a safe life-saving vaccine and then getting COVID and then not leading your team to the playoffs when you had like a 99% chance of making it, like against the worst team in the league, is like that another notch in the leadership question, I would say.
I think what's his face doesn't have it either, by the way. That was the last report that he was not.
Who?
Ben.
Oh, I have no idea. I haven't heard anything about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it would have to come with the Wentz thing, especially came with the fact that the Eagles had clinched. And so the fact that they traded him and made the playoffs and they didn't make the playoffs, and we have their pick and we have the Dolphins pick. And it's like 3 first-round picks plus a playoff appearance is just really nice. So that feels good. So I think watching Ben fail in a similar way, like say he did that, Wentz failed in a way that he failed in Philadelphia regularly towards the end, holding onto the ball too long, not being incredibly accurate, taking sacks, fumbling the ball, all that stuff. Seeing Ben do the things that he also failed to do here, and his team failed, I think it would be received the same way, but only if the Sixers were succeeding. I think if it wouldn't be if the Sixers were stuck in whatever hell they continued to be stuck in, just in a different way, then maybe it would just be like, okay, yeah, I mean, some people would take joy out of it no matter what, but I think it would be the level of joy that we took out of Wentz failing to lead his team to the playoffs only if the Sixers are succeeding, as the Eagles sort of surprise succeeded. Obviously, the expectations for both teams are very different. There are different stages of succeeding, but that'd be my guess.
And Keith Pompey, as of December 12th, As of about a month ago, all but 2 76ers were vaccinated. He said on the Locked On Sixers podcast, one is a guy who's at the end of the bench who rarely plays, and the other one is Ben Simmons. So there you go. I think there's something more sad. I enjoyed watching Wentz fail, and as negative as I've been on Simmons, though I would feel vindicated in some way, I don't think I'd enjoy him melting down like that. The way that he melted down against the Hawks was like uncomfortable. I don't know that I could enjoy watching any human who hasn't done anything specifically wrong to me. I don't know if I could enjoy watching anybody melt down like that.
For sure.
Honestly.
Yeah. It depends where he goes. It depends on a lot of things. I think a lot of people will just root against him entirely. And that's, as a fan, well within your right.
He's earned
people
it.
do that. People do that to Jimmy, and that was less of a situation. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if he should get vaccinated. That'd be dumb if he's not. That would be just as dumb as Carson not getting vaccinated if he isn't. And whatever. I think for a long time, depending on where he goes, how many times he comes to Philadelphia, I think it will be like an unending display of boos for him, regardless. Unless there's some world where I don't think he's gonna play for the Sixers this season, but if the trade doesn't materialize this season, in this offseason, I mean.
Oh my God.
And then we go into next season and the next media day being like, what's gonna happen? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think I think if they hold him to the deadline, then he's still not gonna play. But I think if they hold him the full 4 years that Daryl is talking about, I don't know. I might be dead by then. So who knows? But it's a lot to consider. I will say, like, as frustrating as this game was, this Hornets game, because it's all the reasons that the Sixers are bad and slow, and they had to, their two-way players right now are markedly lower potential wise than they started the season with. But Charlie Brown is just like a guy that can play NBA athleticism basketball, even though I think Aaron Henry projects as a better player long-term, possibly. I think he could be a better player long-term. But he's just like not as fast, not as athletic. Like the fact that they needed that bad goes to show you, like, man, they're really struggling and they need this stuff. But I will say, like, I've done this a bunch of times, but like I'm not gonna say we've been through the hard part, because it could get worse. I'm not ruling out the possibility that all this gets worse with Ben, with the team, with whatever, but they've been through the most amount of time now. Like, when we were saying they have to make the trade before the season in like August, September, that's 4 or 5 months ago. And so now there's less than a month until the trade deadline. So we're like, I wouldn't panic trade him like next week just because this game sucked. I think Daryl's going to wait as long as possible for the deal to materialize. And when it doesn't, I do think that he should trade him before the deadline, because I do think he can get the guy this offseason. If he can't get it at the deadline, he should do something. But I will say, like, I'm as frustrated as I am, trying to be patient at least for another month, and then all my patience goes out the window.
Man, we've done some dark pods. The pod on February 10th, when nobody gets traded, is going to be a dark one.
That'd be tough.
Yeah.
Should we start doing? Somebody's recommended this. Should I stop saying the final line until the trade happens?
Oh, well, that only took a year last time, I think. I don't remember how long it took. Yeah, sure.
It was a while. It felt like a while.
Yeah, sure. So for anyone who's hasn't been, at one point, Mike decided he wasn't saying the final line until Okafor got traded. Yeah. And then he finally got traded. Everyone rejoiced as he said it again. I'm fine. Mm-hmm. I'm fine with you doing that. It feels like we're tempting fate. We're daring Daryl not to trade him at the deadline.
Yeah, certainly true.
Well, we'll see what happens.
We got to do something. If this isn't, how are we active in some way?
Yeah.
And I will be active by refusing to say a stupid line.
Okay, we'll see if you have the guts to do it right here. We will be back with you this weekend. This game, I know we're all upset. It was bound to happen. We're gonna be okay.
Totally bound to happen, but just illustrates their weaknesses once again.
For sure. All right. Are you down with TTP?